All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's get this thing started. What's going on, people? Oh, no. Boomer movement. Of course. Way to go. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, hump day. And don't look at that hashtag on Twitter ever. Trust me. Just trust me. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am so excited today to talk to someone who doesn't know me from Adam, but it was so gracious to decide to come on my show. That would be the one and only Megan Fox. And I'm excited for that. Also, just the topic, the main topic, talking about the kind of cancel journalism thing. I got the term Mean Girls journalism from my friend Ranting Monkey, and it's stuck. And it kind of relates to all the things that have gone on with Nick Rekieta and what's happening with, for example, that umbrella guy and a bunch of other people because of a certain class of journalists that we talked about the other day. A lot of them, a lot of silver spoon. I don't even know how to describe them. Just a bunch of mean girls. That's a good description. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today with our guest, Megan Fox. Johnny, play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet, and welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel on this Wednesday, again, hump day, the 12th of October, 2022. And I am thrilled today to introduce my guest, the one and only Megan Fox, who is an award-winning journalist, broadcaster, author of Believe Evidence, The Death of Due Process from Salome to Me Too, and also another one, Shut Up, The Bizarre War That One Public Library Waged Against the First Amendment. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, let's see if this works, Boomer Tech. Oh, good God. What the hell is going on here? I have a bad mouse. No! Megan, I see you. Oh, you got to be kidding. What the hell happened? Boomer Tech.
There you go.
Hey, could you hear?
How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
All right. Can you hear me okay? Am I too loud?
I hear you just fine. And there's a slight lag, so I'm going to remember I'll stop talking when you're talking.
Okay.
All right. So, could you hear my intro, by the way?
I did.
You heard everything. Okay, cool. I'm just making sure you could hear me. I just realized that I didn't add you to the stream because, boomer moments that we have. Anyway, welcome to the show. Now, when I asked Megan to come on today, I wanted to talk about the Rekieta saga with Nick Rekieta. I've been talking a lot on my show, and Megan wrote a great article on PJ Media about it, and then the update when Nick came back onto Twitter. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about that and about kind of the state of this this class of journalists who seem to want to silence people, and like I said, my friend Ranting Monkey calls it mean girl journalism. So first, let's just talk about give our people who are here the nutshell scenario with what happened to Nick Rekieta.
Sure. It's been a months-long campaign, actually, by activists who are trans activists who are just after him for exposing a person named Keffels, who is a trans person and also a former porn actor and a current activist. And I guess I would just call Keffels a grifter because Keffels is big on Twitch, I guess. And I don't understand Twitch. I'm not down with the kids, okay? I don't I don't know. I have children. I don't partake in what the children are doing, and I know that Twitch is a big thing for them, but this person, Keffels, has admittedly and proudly been very open in public about helping minors get HRT, cross-sex hormones, okay? Keffels has posted this on Twitter, has an entire or had an entire website until Keffels got caught, and then Keffels deleted himself off of the website. But I have screenshots of that. We have archives of the website. I mean, it exists. There was a website that was set up that Keffels made to connect minors with HRT drugs, illegally shipping drugs to minors. When Nick Rekieta exposed that on his show, um, that's when the harassment campaign started, and they started lying about what it is that he said. They claimed that he threatened to that he said that Keffels should be shot in the head or something like that. He never said that. That is absolutely false, and if he did, you know darn well clips of it would be everywhere,
Mhm.
right?
Oh,
Notice that
absolutely. They would
that
they would
when
have
these
it.
people make they would have it in the tweet when they make the claim. So they started reporting him to Twitter and to YouTube for making this supposed violent threat. Well, the supposed violent threat, though, never accompanied their claims. There was never video of him doing it, right, with their complaint. And that's how and I was watching the show when it happened. I was watching it. He said no such thing. Um, I think what he did was made an if-then statement. He said, "If Keffels is giving HRT drugs to minors without prescriptions or their parents' notice, then Keffels belongs on the wall with the rest of the pedophiles and the freaks and the, whatever."
Now,
It was an if then. And also, that's very, very subjective as far as like everybody knows that on the wall is a phrase. It's used in gaming, it's used in all kinds of different ways. And many people use it different ways. But that was the only thing he said. Keffels takes that and goes with, he said I should be put on a wall and shot in the head.
well,
Keffels
not only did she
added
say
shot
that,
in the head.
not only did she say that, she said that he threatened to put her on the wall and shoot her. That's the latest phrase I've seen that for her talking about. And I've been blocked by Kevin for a while, but I have relatives who are on Twitter that keep me up to date. Um, and it's funny because when I first heard him say that, because now I've heard that phrase in a couple different ways. One, when a business is on the wall, it means it's about to go down. I've heard people when they're talking about the maps, the maps community.
Maps belong on a wall.
Yeah, yeah, the only place I ever want to see a map is on the
It's on the
wall.
wall.
So I mean, there's lots of different ways, right? So I was like, oh, thought he was doing a map joke because she whatever that person Keffels
Yeah.
also has dabbled in underage children a little bit, at least in theory. I'll just say in theory. I allegedly. So that's what I thought the joke was about. So anyway, I'll let you go ahead. Keep
Well,
going.
yeah, I mean, Kevels has had, something on Discord called Catboy Ranch, which people have a lot of screenshots and stories from, which are really disturbing, of,
Mhm.
underage kids in this, Discord, and there's a lot of stories floating around. It doesn't look good, I'll tell you that much, and with Keffel's own words about how Keffels provides HRT to minors. And Keffels did it the other day, just a couple days ago, and I put it out on Twitter because Keffels was admitting to doing it again. So, Keffels is doubling down on this giving HRT to minors thing. And that's what really started all of this.
Mhm.
That's the thing, is getting caught doing that made Keffels what did she do? She or he, um, got the minions together. Lucas is his name. It's the he she thing drives me nuts because I don't particularly believe I have any responsibility to give a person like this their preferred pronouns. The difficulty I run into is that so many people refer to Keffels as she that it gets stuck in my head.
Mhm.
But I would prefer to call Keffels a he because I don't think Keffels deserves my respect after this stuff with minors. Anybody who is trying to bypass parents and give minor children body destroying and permanently altering drugs does not get my respect, does not deserve. Now, if you're just a trans person who's just going about your life and not upset and not targeting anybody's children, well, then I'm happy to give you your pronouns. But as far as Keffel is concerned, no. No, no. I just, and then to get all the followers together and start a mass flagging campaign against his channels, Twitter was taken down first. So his Twitter account was suspended. Then, oh, hey, Chris, I see Chris Rowland in the chat.
I
Chris
do
is
too. I see
one of
Chris
my
there
good
too.
friends. Good to see you here this morning, Chris. Not only this, so Twitter was taken down first, and then they did the mass flagging against YouTube. Now, what the second incident was that caused a second mass round of flagging is that Keffels and the minions that Keffels has following Keffels is they all decided they were going to write false and I believe defamatory ethics complaints to the Minnesota bar to have his license removed. Now, these people are clearly in a targeted harassment campaign against a person. That is against terms of service on YouTube. It's against terms of service on Twitter. And yet they seem to be able to do whatever kind of, like Christopher Boozy takes part in this kind of thing too. And Bot Sentinel, he does mass targeted campaigns too. And nothing ever happens to him. Nothing ever happens to these people who are very clearly targeting and harassing a single person. And it's really wrong. And what they did by sending the ethics complaints to Minnesota Bar was a real mistake. Because in order to file an ethics complaint, you must put your name and address on them. Notice Keffels didn't fill one out. None of these high-profile people who directed their minions to fill out a false ethics complaint, none of them actually did one. Only these poor saps on the internet who follow these people who might be minors for all I know. I mean, who knows? And they submitted over 40 false complaints to the Minnesota bar. And every single one of those complaints gets sent to Nick Rekieta. And their names and addresses are not redacted off. And so, as is his right to do when someone is committing a criminal act against him, because that's what that is. Filing a false complaint could be a criminal act. I mean, it certainly should be a civil violation of some sort. It's bearing false witness against your neighbor. It's filing a false report with an agency, a public agency. He read their names on his stream that was broadcasted on YouTube and Rumble. He did not read their addresses, though he said he was going to post them unredacted behind a paywall on his locals page. He didn't. He didn't actually do it. He said he was going to, but he didn't.
Right.
And that is the thing.
right.
And that's what his channel got taken down for.
That was it. And then also, now you mentioned Christopher Boozy. Now, Christopher Boozy, who runs Bot Sentinel, and we've talked about that on this channel too. He also seemed to try to take some credit for Rekieta getting taken down on YouTube.
Oh, I mean, everybody wanted to.
I mean, there was a lot of people. It's interesting because all these people were taking credit. And then what was it? It was like 30 hours later that he got restored, or 2 days, maybe 2 days later that Nick got restored.
It was 3 days.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, it was 3 days. The Jesus memes were plentiful. It was funny.
And what was fascinating, yeah, that's right.
Resurrected after 3 days. Yeah.
The memes were amazing. The memes were amazing.
Memes were so good.
You're right. So, so when he took credit for that, when he made some kind of comment on Twitter that, this has been in the works for months and whatever, and he's been after Rekieta because that was all part of the Amber Heard trial. Because apparently, if you had anything negative to say, which I don't even think Nick said anything negative, he just agreed with the verdict in the Amber Heard trial. It seems like Christopher Boozy, that's one of his biggest things to go after right now. People who talk about Amber Heard, people who talk about Meghan Markle.
It's because he was paid by Amber's team.
Client. She's a client, right?
Yeah.
And so, how do you think that he was involved in this takedown, or is he just taking credit because he's a narcissistic fuck?
That's a good question. It could be either one. Certainly, I believe he's a narcissistic fuck for sure. That guy he's a total douchebag. However, do I think he probably got in on the false flagging? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, But it's funny, a bunch of people took credit. Duncan MacLeod was trying to take credit, and that guy is a total tool as well, who can't debate his way out of a paper bag. And Nick proved that on his show. So Duncan MacLeod goes on Nick's show to debate him about this Keffels thing, and everyone should watch that stream, by the way.
I should
Everyone
link
should
that.
watch that debate. You know, I'm actually thinking about reviewing that debate for my channel, because it's so good. And amazingly, Nick was, like, probably drunk the entire time, and he still wiped the floor with Duncan and made Duncan admit and apologize that what Duncan was saying he said, he didn't say. And by the there's a moment where Nick's like, "Why are we even here? Like, we so this is the thing. You said I did. You're now admitting I didn't do it. What Unbelievable. You should never have been doing this campaign in the first place." And Duncan, instead of actually sticking to his apology, left that show and then, like, 2 days later is crowing about, "Oh, I'm glad he was removed. He needs to lose this platform," and just total douchebaggery. I mean, what a jerk. This whole thing, you're right. It is a bunch of mean girls who have nothing better to do than sit around and attack other creators online. I have way more things to do than get involved in YouTube drama. When a friend of mine is attacked and, silenced by the mob,
Mhm.
that's when I get involved. But on a regular, usual basis, like, I'm covering the news. Okay. I'm a journalist. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this petty shit. And the idea that I feel almost, I'm angry that I got dragged down to this petty shit level because of their behavior. But see, these people, if they are not checked, they become very dangerous to a free society. Very dangerous if they are not stopped.
Well, let's talk about the Mean Girls beat. The people who seem to make it their job to police social media. And I'm talking about Boozy, I'm talking about Taylor Lorenz, I'm talking about
Cat
Kat Denbarge, I'm
Tenbarge.
talking about Ben Collins, and I mean even Duncan, so to speak, although he's a nobody in reality. But where why do you think there is such a thing? Because I remember I've been on YouTube. I mean, my numbers don't show it, but I've been on YouTube for about 7, 8 years now. And I remember I don't know if you're familiar with the adpocalypse, which came from a Wall Street Journal article. A second adpocalypse is when here's the thing. The mainstream media used to be a competitor to YouTube, but it seems now YouTube is part of the mainstream media, and they don't like it that people on their platforms don't necessarily go to a certain narrative of just about any subject. And
Just
so,
go to the YouTube homepage and see what it is they're pushing on you. It's all CNN and NBC and the big networks, as if the big networks don't have a big enough platform. YouTube used to be about small creators, and when you would search a topic, you would get the independent creators that would pop up. Now you do not. Now you get big corporations, and you have to go to, like, page 10 before you can start to find, if you ever do find, your favorite creators. It's really sad. It's terrible what's been done to YouTube.
well, and I don't think they realize they are actually a competitor with those people, but then they try to incorporate the mainstream media. But so we've got the Mean Girls, okay, Kat, Taylor, Ben. I don't know if there's others. Those
Here,
are the three
I'll
that
tell you how to
usually are.
find them. Here's how you
Mhm.
find the mean girl journalism. They are called tech reporters. That's their official name, tech reporters.
But
Although
what
these people
tech?
never, no, they're reporting on social media. Okay,
Right.
they should call them social media gossip columnists, because that's what they are. But they call them tech reporters. Kat Tenbarge is a tech reporter for NBC. Taylor Lorenz is a tech reporter for Washington Post. So if you just look at at their titles when you read an
Mhm.
article that seems snarky and, like, ridiculous, and notice, is this a tech reporter? Because if it is, it's one of the mean girls.
And it's weird because for whatever reason, they all seem to have a connection to Boozy. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that? Like,
Yeah.
Boozy is their main source for all this stuff, and and I'm going to say allegedly but he's allegedly a fraud. I mean, I don't believe anything that comes from it anymore. I now and also right now because of the Amber Heard trial, he's going after the umbrella guy, Tug.
Mhm.
You know that guy, and I had to laugh because I saw one of his tweets the other day, and he says now he's trying to create whatever bot Sentinel 3.0 that now is going to be scrubbing through YouTube
YouTube.
and doing the
Mhm.
same kind of thing, and he puts that umbrella guy's homepage up with
Mhm.
an F at the bottom saying, it will make it easier to report problematic accounts,
Right.
which was a subliminal message to report that account. And I'm like, what? It's like the passive aggressive shit. And then now what? Now watch. Here's my prediction. Because these people have been writing about this a lot. One of them's going to write an article about Bot Sentinel's new tool to find problematic accounts, and they're going to go after an umbrella guy again. That's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
Taylor
Oh,
Lorenz's,
yeah, this is what they do. So they coordinate. It's very clear that they do coordinate.
Mhm.
Boozy will write a report, okay, where I don't know how he gets his data,
Oh,
okay?
I do. I
I
know how
think
he
his
does.
data is ridiculous. Uh,
My guess is they ask him, "Hey, we want to talk about this person. Write a
right.
report."
Because look at if you go on, because I've put my Twitter handle through, Bot Sentinel, and mine comes up as, totally non-problematic and fine, which is ridiculous. Have you seen my Twitter? Like, it's
Well, from their standpoint, yours should be completely problematic,
I
right?
mine should be way over on that slide on the right side. It should be like, "Wah, wah, wah, warning, warning, warning." I mean, I'm using all kinds of words they don't like and all kinds of topics they don't like, right?
Right,
For Nick Rekieta's Twitter was completely satisfactory on Bot Sentinel
right.
before he
And
got suspended. So I don't believe that this technology he says he created, I don't think it's actually tech and I don't think it actually works. And I think they have 5 people in a room simply combing through the target, whoever their target is, combing
Mhm,
through their target's Twitter and flagging things, okay? And then creating these, their rating system. I don't really believe that he has algorithms doing this. I just don't. Now, I don't know that then that might be the case, but I'm looking at it from looking at how does he rate my Twitter versus the umbrella guys, and it makes no sense, okay? No sense whatsoever. I'm far spicier than the umbrella guy on Twitter. I mean, it is just absurd.
I've and on that note, I don't know if I've ever heard that umbrella guy cuss. I didn't even know anything about him until the Amber Heard trial, and I didn't follow him until um, Boozy and Taylor Lorenz and the other one started attacking him. And then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go listen to some of his stuff because I want to know what is it that he's so problematic. He's misogynistic and he's just problematic." And I'm going listening to his account. And he sounds like um, what's that stupid what's it? He sounds like a TMZ reporter. He,
Yeah,
he just
Tug
talks
is
about
Tug
what's
is
happening
great.
with her.
There's nothing wrong with Tug. He never says anything terrible about anybody, really. I mean, so he has his opinion on Amber Heard. He doesn't like her that much. Big deal. Like big deal. Nobody likes Amber Heard, okay? Like this is not, and she's a public person. She's a movie star. She
Mhm.
is not entitled to special treatment. She is. This is America. We're allowed to have our opinions about what we think about people, and Tug is not doing anything that is outside of his right to say.
No, absolutely not. And it amazes me that they seem to go after him. But again,
He doesn't even say her name. He says that
it,
certain Aquaman starlet. He doesn't
mhm,
even say her name.
he says AH
AH, that
once in a
certain
while,
Aquaman
but
starlet,
Aquaman
It's
there.
like they'll go after anybody.
Although
I've made a lot of videos about I covered the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I live streamed it every day on my channel. We told raucous jokes about that bitch. I mean,
Mhm.
so what I don't know why Tug is being targeted while other people are not. Um and the whole thing is just stupid. No one should be targeted for making jokes about public events, or royal princesses, because that's another one of his targets, is
Mhm.
anybody who's critical of Meghan Markle, a
Right.
literal royal princess. Like, how much more privilege do you need?
Well, a couple things that I think's happening here. One, the Washington Post has major egg on their face. Who does Taylor Lorenz work for? The Washington Post. Taylor Lorenz is the silver spoon, Swiss boarding school, socialite who we found out recently. One of her parents, I think her dad um, is part of not the Wayback Machine, what Internet Archives. He's the one who started Internet Archives. So anything you can't find thing in Taylor's past because he wipes it clean. He doesn't allow anything to go through Internet Archive on her. By the way, did you hear about that? Did you hear about the guy that got kicked off of Twitter for that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, there's this there's this guy. God, what's his name? I know he lives in Missouri. I can't remember his name, but he has something floof. And he did a whole thread on all the Mean Girl journalists and their backgrounds, because their backgrounds, most of those guys' backgrounds are hidden on the internet. Like they're from really powerful families. And Taylor Lorenz, for example,
A
her
lot of
dad.
people in media are. I mean, look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Anderson
Well, yeah,
Anderson
you got,
Cooper. He's a
like
Vanderbilt.
right. Well, same with Ben Collins. I mean, you can't find anything about him on the internet because it's basically his stuff's been wiped clean, even his Wikipedia. And Taylor Lorenz family runs Internet Archive, so everything there you can't find archived things about Taylor on the
Hmm.
internet. So he found out all this stuff, and it was all stuff though that he found via public record, or things that what little you could find on them, and he got banned from Twitter for a while.
Yeah, but when Taylor Lorenz does it to Chaya Raichik, it's perfectly fine, and they can put it in the Washington Post, and she still has her Twitter account.
Right.
But she can go knock on the door of an anonymous person on Twitter who's simply reposting publicly made videos that other people post, uh, and and it's fine. She doesn't get see, the whole thing is rigged. I'm really looking forward to this Twitter deal going through with Elon Musk,
Mhm.
because I feel like it's gonna get a lot more fun, and,
Yeah.
uh, look, all we want is freedom. We want Taylor Lorenz to be able to do what she does, but we also wanna be able to do what we do. Leave us alone, Taylor, and, like, just do your thing, but, like, quit trying to get everyone you don't like deleted from the internet. It's ridiculous. Everyone I'm sorry, I've been so sick, and
Or
I'm, like, choking, and my
I,
throat's closing up.
I got my coffee here too. Same thing.
I'm sorry. But and I sound really weird, and, like, my voice is going in and out, so if you're wondering why I sound weird, it's because 'cause I've been sick. But anyway, Taylor and Kat too, I mean, they don't understand. I don't think they quite get the irony of what it is they do. So they target people personally in their personal lives. They go and knock on the doors of people's relatives and scare them. They dox people. They target people whose ideas they just don't agree with. And then when we turn around and go, "Hey, who is this? Who are these people? Let's find out
Mhm.
who they are." Suddenly we're the bad guys. Like,
Mhm.
no, if what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I don't see anything wrong with doing an investigative piece on who is Taylor Lorenz.
Not at all. Now let's go back to the Washington Post thing. I want to go back to that because so they had egg on their face because they're the ones who posted this expose on Amber Heard, right? And they look like idiots after that trial, right? And it seems like 'cause I can't even think of a reason why they would keep Taylor Reds, especially with the stuff she has going on with the New York Times lawsuit, which is back on track again, by the way. But do you think because the powerful people at the Washington Post have egg on their face, do you think that has a lot to do with why she's able to do what she does? Because clearly she goes after people who would not necessarily or normally agree with anything written in a Washington Post editorial.
Yeah, I mean, and I do think that, I mean, we know Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and I think we know that Jeff has his own, you know, motivations. He's a guy who's more on the left. And his paper reflects that. The Washington Post, since his ownership, has really taken a dive as far as becoming more of like a tabloid for far leftism and attack politics, which is, Taylor is good at. She's their attack dog. I think it's interesting, though, that she was demoted at the Washington Post because of the tussle she got into with Tug
Mhm.
and was it Legal Bites? It was one of the law tubers. She
Oh, right.
she claimed
Right.
I wrote about this on PJ Media. She claimed that she had reached out to them for comment on this article she was writing, but she didn't. She didn't reach out until after it published. So when she was called out by Tug and I think it was Alita on Legal Bites, when she was called out, she suddenly tried to contact them for a comment, but they had all the receipts and the screenshots, and she got wrecked. And the editing staff at the Washington Post had to make a big correction, and then they demoted her. And now nothing she writes can go. I guess she has to go through like 3 or 4 editors before her pieces can go into the Post. It's not enough. They should have fired her. What she did was lie about her job, and that's not okay. If you're doing journalism and you did not reach out to someone, you cannot print, "I reached out to so and so and did not hear back." You can't do
Mhm.
that. You have to have actually done it.
Yeah, no, I remember that little saga, and good. They at least they for once they seem to have done something right regarding her because her whole thing is innuendo, twisted facts, twisted words. Um, the other day when she tweeted something about Rekieta being uh, the using the Gamergate instigator of Gamergate like internet attacks. I mean, what are you
They're so
talking about?
obsessed with Gamergate, and, like,
Yeah, still,
I swear to
still.
God, they're still obsessed with Gamergate. It's like, get over it. That was, like, 20 years ago. Can we stop talking about Gamergate? And that was a bunch of baloney too. I was covering that back then as well. And, every time you criticize one of these people for anything, let's say, "I don't like your comic book. I think your comic books are woke and stupid." Or, "I don't like that, the influence that's being brought into the gaming industry and everything has to be, uh, diversity and equity and inclusion in our games. Like, this is fantasy. Back off." Um, you say that, and suddenly it's an attack, it's a violent attack against women.
Women,
It's
trans,
ridiculous.
uh, you know, minorities, and you're a transphobe bigot, and you did something Gamergate like. It's Comicsgate, it's
Right,
this gate,
right.
because they can't they can't let go of that. I mean, in a way, they kind of lost that battle, but they can't take that. And so when these when they use a extremely privileged journalist like Ben Cat and Taylor to do it, these people are used to not they're used to getting their own way on everything. And so it's just funny watching them work. And I'm curious about Boozy's background more and more. I've been watching the lawsuit develop with Nate the lawyer, and that's very
Mhm.
interesting. He seems to have a very allegedly has a very checkered past. But let's I want to move on to something that I hadn't planned on today, but you were talking about Keffels and the whole trans thing. And yesterday I watched a bunch of your stream when you were talking about the Reuters article.
Mhm.
And also, well, let's talk about Michigan first, because there's a law coming up in Michigan that seems to have caught your ire. And I read your article and I watched it yesterday. Let's talk about that. Um,
Okay. So, yeah, Proposition 3 in Michigan. If you're in Michigan, you really need to know about this. And if you have family in Michigan, you need to let them know about this. Um, Proposition 3 is a constitutional amendment that is being put on the ballot, unbelievably. For some reason in Michigan, when they do constitutional amendments, all it takes is a um, signatures on petitions, and then you get this thing put on a ballot and people vote on it. And I'm not even sure people know that if they vote yes to this thing, they are actually amending their own constitution. And this particular amendment Proposition 3 pretends to be abortion rights. They're saying they're going to enshrine abortion rights into the Constitution of Michigan as a response to the reversal of Roe. However, if you read the language of this thing, it is not just abortion. And
There's a whole lot in it.
oh my God,
There's a whole
it
lot in it. I'm like, I was, because I went through it after you were talking about it. I'm like, oh my, there's a
it's
whole lot
bad.
more here.
It's bad, and it's written so nebulously on purpose, so vaguely, that they're going to be able to shoehorn whatever they want into it. This is what it says. Any individual has an absolute right to reproductive freedom. There's no age limit in here, Marty. No age limit. What does that mean? What does it mean for the age of consent? Anything that gets amended into the Constitution will override Michigan law. So if there are statutes on the books that I don't know what the age of consent in Michigan is. Maybe someone can look it up really quick. But if let's say it's 18, probably. It's probably 18. That age of consent law under this language is going to go bye-bye, because it now says that any individual has an absolute right to reproductive freedom, including sterilization. It says that in the language, sterilization. You know what that means, right? It
Well,
means you
yeah.
can cut your dick off when you are at any age.
Well,
At
it
any
melds
age. Oh, sorry, it's
into
16. Michigan's age of consent is 16. Thank you for looking it up. Wow, that's young. Holy
yeah.
crap.
Well, and then it melds into a lot of the trans rights activist arguments now, right? That at any age you can make decisions about your medical treatment,
About your reproductive health, which
about your
means
reproductive health and
you can
everything.
decide whether or not you ever want to have children, which plays right into the trans activists' hands. They
Mhm.
want kids on puberty blockers. I don't know why. I don't know why these people are so sick, but they want to put kids on puberty blockers as early as possible. And this thing is going to allow children to get on these dangerous drugs without their parents' permission or consent. And it's going to be in the Michigan Constitution. And I'm not sure that it's not too late already, because early voting started how long ago? November 8 is coming up around the corner. So if you've already voted and you didn't know that Prop 3, because the way it's written on the ballot, you'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds okay. If you're a pro-choice kind of person, you'd
Mhm.
be like, yeah, I don't want women to be stopped from determining their own reproductive health. Sure. But they don't tell you, and the Republicans doesn't seem like they spent hardly any time or money telling people what this really means. And it means that parents will have no rights after Prop 3 passes. They will have absolutely no rights. They will have no right to direct the medical care of their children. Teachers, school counselors will be able to take their kid to a clinic, get them shot up with testosterone without their knowledge, without their consent. And there won't be a damn thing they'll be able to do about it, because it's in the Constitution that no one
Constitutional right.
will be prosecuted for assisting a person in their reproductive health. That means I don't even think they'll be able to sue them. It is so bad. It is so damaging to parents' rights. And I don't know why these people want it, because to tell you the truth, one day this is going to turn around on them, and they're not going to have the rights to their kids either. And of course, none of them have kids because they've all castrated themselves. So they have to come after our kids. And that's the thing that is terrifying. So Prop 3 is an absolute vote no. And if you've got family in Michigan, you need to go over to my Rumble channel. First of all, you should be subscribed on there, and send my live stream from yesterday to all your relatives and friends in Michigan, because we are trying desperately to get the word out that this proposition is an absolute nightmare. You can argue about abortion all day long at a different time in Michigan. You should not be voting on this right now, because clearly it has not been described to the people for what it actually is. Now, I reached out yesterday to the Democrat leader in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name? Donna Lisinski. I
She ever
reached
get
out
back
to,
to you?
huh?
Did she ever
No.
get back to you?
Mm-mm. So I got her press person, and they said they would text me with his phone number. And then they texted me and said he would prefer that you email him. So I did. I emailed him yesterday, and I have heard nothing back. And I asked, every question I asked was exactly what we're talking about here today. I said, look, critics of Prop 3 are saying that this bill is going to remove parental rights. Is that true? Is it true that the wording of this language is going to are you going to allow minor children, is it going to allow minor children to seek anything they want, abortion, trans surgeries, trans hormones, without parental consent or permission? It's an easy question. No response. No
No
response.
response.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Did any of the Republicans get back to you too? Because you tried to contact a few, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did anyone give you an answer?
No.
Well, I want to show people the ad that you put in your article. So I have
That's a good idea.
So
Yeah.
let's take a look at that so you guys can see what we're talking about here. Here it goes, and this is 5 minutes long. What is this? This isn't the ad.
That's it. It's
Oh,
five. It's
is it?
5
Well,
minutes long.
let's watch it. Let's watch
It's
it.
a long ad, but it's really good. It's worthwhile.
Well, let's watch it, and then I have another thing you might want to watch in a second here, because I want to talk about the Reuters article a little bit too, because it blows me away that even made it on anywhere. Anyway, here's the ad, and we're gonna go. We'll watch this for a second.
Michigan, this November 8th.
Can you hear that?
Have the
Okay.
right to choose, and your choice
Yeah, I
will
hear it.
decide whether we wake up in a better Michigan or a Michigan that has been radically transformed.
Is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one.
Help me understand what's going on with you. You're just not yourself lately. Mom, 2 weeks ago I had an abortion. What? How? How is that possible? You're only 14. Your doctor didn't even tell me. My teacher said they wouldn't have to anymore since Prop 3 passed.
How'd you like that? How'd you like to come home to
I
that?
didn't know.
I mean, what if there was a complication?
They don't care.
They don't
I
care.
understand why my son wants to sterilize himself, and there's nothing I can do about it.
What do you mean there's nothing you can do? It's only 10.
By the way, everybody, I'll have a link to Megan's article at the end of the show in the
Prop
in
3
the,
passed and gave every individual the
description.
right to effectuate decisions about sterilization. His teacher told him that if he wants to transition, he can do this. There's nothing I can do. If he decides to go through with it, it's his choice.
I didn't know.
Nobody knows.
Thanks very much for coming in. Looking at all the tests, everything's going fine. Baby is very, very healthy. But I need to ask you before we go any further, are you sure this child is not going to cause you any mental health issues? Fear, anxiety, stress?
I mean, it's my 4th kid, so probably.
Well, if you feel that way, we can terminate this pregnancy for you.
How is that possible?
Well, now that Proposition 3 has passed, you have the right to terminate this pregnancy up to the time of
Wow,
birth.
this is hard hitting ad. Holy moly!
Yes, if it would
I
be
know, it's
advisable
great.
for the protection of your mental health.
I didn't know.
You are the county prosecutor. My 15-year-old granddaughter is dead, and you tell me you can't do anything to the person who killed her?
I understand your frustration, but since Proposition 3 passed, the state shall not penalize, prosecute, or otherwise take adverse action against someone for aiding or assisting a pregnant individual in exercising their right to reproductive freedom with their voluntary consent. There's just nothing I can do.
I didn't know.
Hey, babe, how was your day?
What's wrong?
I had to perform an abortion today.
What? How is that even possible? You work for a Catholic hospital.
and Prop 3 passed and gave the mother the right to make and effectuate all abortion and postpartum care decisions. And she chose us. And
now, here's something I don't understand. I'm gonna stop this because I know this is a scenario that could possibly be right.
Oh, it absolutely. It's written into, see where it says there, an individual's right to reproductive freedom shall not be denied, burdened, or infringed upon unless justified by a compelling state interest achieved by the least restrictive means. I'm telling you, they will say you must do it.
Except
you don't have a choice.
And I know they'll say that. I don't understand that. If let's say I work in a methadone clinic, right? And I have doctors in my methadone clinic. And someone comes in, this is an extreme example, and someone comes into my office and says, I need you to perform an abortion for me. I don't do abortions here. I don't. This is my business. Does not do that. There are other businesses that do that.
This person is a nurse or a doctor at a Catholic hospital where they would not do abortions. However, there are obstetricians there, and maybe that's what she is, who could be forced to do them. I mean, they certainly know they could be forced to do them. Absolutely, they could be forced to do them. Women's health care is going to be affected by this, and that means every women's health care provider who is a obstetrician, gynecologist, and nurses will be forced to assist.
That's crazy.
So it is crazy, but this is what they want, and this is what they have always wanted. They have always wanted to destroy the religious, anyone with a religious conscientious objection. They have always wanted to destroy our
First Amendment rights.
First Amendment rights, but also they want to wear us down. You know, I'm looking for the word. There's a word that's escaping me right now, but they want to wear us down. They want to destroy that that sense of hope that we have by forcing us to do these things that go against our beliefs. And they know that if they can force us to do these things, they win. If they can this is why it's so important that you not comply with anything that goes against your deeply held religious or philosophical beliefs. It doesn't even have to be religious, by the way. If you have a philosophical problem with abortion or anything else, vaccines or anything else, you are not required to bow to the state for any reason. And this is the thing that they're trying to stamp out. They're trying to stamp out our will to see, yes, demoralization. Thank you. That is the word.
Yeah,
they're trying
nice job, Joe.
to demoralize
Nice
us.
to see you back, by the way. Haven't seen you around here in a while.
They're trying to demoralize us. And this is how they're going to do it. They're going to do it with forcing us through. This happened with the vaccine mandates.
Yes, it did.
They threatened people with their jobs and livelihoods and forced them to go against their conscience and their good sense. And there are so many people who regret that decision, regret saying okay to that, because once you bow to the state, once you bend the knee, you will continue to do it. So you have to draw a line somewhere. And in Michigan, this is it. Doctors should walk out of their practices before they are forced to take part in abortions if they don't believe that that's the right thing to do. And this is what they're trying to do to everyone on every issue, whether it's vaccines or abortions or trans. At Vanderbilt University, they're on the record, and Vanderbilt Hospital on the record saying, if you have a conscientious objection, that's problematic. And I don't care if you have a religious problem with this, you will do it or you won't work here.
It's insane. And I made it very clear on my channel. I'm not anti-abortion, but I think it should be severely restricted.
Let's be totally honest. The entire country would agree to no abortions after the first trimester. We would all agree to that, right?
I agree.
12 weeks. We could give it 12 weeks. You've got 12 weeks to figure it out, and then that's it. Right. The entire country would agree to this. We have, unfortunately, I don't want to be. Let me choose my words carefully because I appreciate the pro-life.
You're gonna get me kicked off of YouTube?
No, I appreciate right to life. I worked for right to life. I have lobbied with right to life. But the right to life purists, okay, that's the word I'm going to use. The
Yes.
right to life purists who refuse to compromise on exceptions for rape and incest, who refuse to compromise on first trimester, I don't understand what you're doing. I am with you. I don't like abortion at all. Okay, I think it's murder from the beginning. However,
It's a baby. It
you're
is a
never
baby.
going to get this whole country to agree. Clearly the country is split down the middle. So you have to compromise, and we have people who are on the pro-life side who refuse to compromise and make this, and we could have solved this so long ago, but instead, because of the people who refuse to compromise, we have the other side of the pendulum, which is abortion up till birth.
Right.
And that is so sick. And that's what's going to happen in Michigan with Prop 3, by the way. You will be able to get an abortion up to the day before you go into labor, or the day you do go into labor, really, if you say you have a mental health concern.
Well, here's too what I'm saying. Now, the right, like you said, the right to lives aren't compromising at all, but it doesn't matter because the Republicans who are running right now who would compromise on those things. I'm watching ads in Minnesota for for the upcoming elections, and the only thing I've seen in any of the Democratic ads are about abortion, and they're claiming that this candidate would have no restriction or no exceptions, no
Yeah.
exceptions, right? That's every single ad said there'd be no exceptions for rape and incest. You know what? If it was just exceptions for rape and incest, would you be okay with them banning the rest? Or if it was just the
No,
first
they use
6
that as
weeks,
a scare tactic
yeah, it
anyway.
is.
And most of the time they're lying about the candidate that they're talking about.
Oh,
So you
every
really have
time.
to,
I've
yeah.
talked to some of these candidates, and they're not, the one because my congressman's up for reelection, and I want her gone. And I've talked to the guy, and he's like, "That's bullshit." Not that he didn't use my terminology, but he said, "No, that's not true." And but that's like you said, it's a scare tactic, and it's all they have to run on. The only thing they have to run on right now is Dodd, because everything else has gone to shit. And
I think they really believe, though, that abortion is far more popular in America than it is. I don't think most
low.
Americans are in love with abortion. I think most people want to limit abortion as much as possible. Going back to what they used to claim, they want it to be safe, legal, and rare. We found out that that's not what they want. They want it to be safe, legal, and all over the place. Okay,
Well,
they don't want it to be rare. And I don't know why on earth we don't fight for uh, reducing the number of abortions that have to happen. But
one of
we're
the
never going to get
lines,
anywhere without a compromise. Never.
one of the lines in one of Angie Craig's commercials, she's my congressman. One of the lines, and I laugh every time I see the ad because she's talking about her opponent, Tyler, whatever his name is, I can't remember. Who I don't care. I'm not voting for Angie Craig. One of the lines in there is that he wants to end abortion. Now, wants to end abortion. Shouldn't everyone want to end abortion? Even if you're pro-choice,
I know.
shouldn't everyone want to end abortion?
Yes,
Like
they should.
make it unnecessary, make it gone?
Seftis Wolf has just reminded me, no, they don't want it to be safe either. That's true. And actually, in Proposition 3, they're going to be making abortion much less safe because the restrictions that Michigan already put on abortion care providers will go bye-bye, which means I think it's the inspections that they require, and they have like restrictions, and I don't know exactly what they are in Michigan, but it would completely wipe those out. And those were put into place to make abortion safer for women. And this is going to remove those safety precautions as far as who can do abortions, which providers, what are the standards of care, et cetera. This is a problem. This is serious. And so I shouldn't have said that. You're right. They don't want it to be safe. They just want it to be legal and plentiful. And so it's a big lie when they tell you they want safe, legal, and rare.
Well, hey, doc, I need an abortion. Will you do it today? Ma'am, I'm an ophthalmologist. Please. I don't know. All right, let's watch the rest of this because there's only a couple minutes left, and then we'll move on a little bit.
We had to comply. I had to comply. It was her right.
Constitutional right.
It's terrifying.
I didn't know.
Michigan, Proposition 3 is dangerous for parental rights, religious liberties, our children, the unborn, the newly born, the preyed upon, and the abused. It's permanent and goes way beyond Roe. Proposition 3 is dangerous for our state, for our culture, and for our society. This November 8th, vote no to protect human life in all its forms. Vote no to protect the vulnerable. Vote no to protect parental rights, religious liberties, and medical and prosecutorial rights. Choose to give your child a Michigan and a future they deserve. On November 9th, don't wake up saying, I didn't know. Choose to vote no on Prop 3, because now you know.
This is such a good ad. You know, Jen, who is the redhead in the cafe talking about her son, she's the one who wrote this ad, and it was funded by Grace Church in Michigan. She had, you know, it's funny. I had her on the program yesterday. She just happened to be in the chat, and I was like, "Come in here. I want to talk to you because this is such an excellent ad. I can tell that the GOP didn't make it because if they had, it would be absolute shit."
Right.
But this was an ad that was done by a woman who cared, and she said she almost didn't do it because she thought, you know, it's too late. November 8 is around the corner, and now we don't have time. But she said that voice inside her head just said, you have to do it. Just do it. And look how good it is. I mean, this is the type of message people need to hear. And I'm really upset, to tell you the truth, with whatever's happening with the GOP in Michigan. I've tried contacting them. I've tried contacting a bunch of them to find out, like, what did you do? What have you done to stop this?
How did this even get on the ballot?
How did it get on the ballot? And guess what? When it was going in front of the panel or whatever for, you know, to be approved, the language, they had like typos throughout the whole thing, and like words were smushed together and there were no spaces. In Chicago, where I'm from, if it was something the Democrats didn't want on the ballot, they would sue the shit out of them over and over again on every, you know, detail just to get it thrown off the ballot, and they would win because they'd get it on a technicality. They'd have the signatures aren't correct. This one is written in pencil and that one is written, and they would go through every single one and come up with a reason why it's not correct. This person moved from this address, and they would have lawyers doing this. What did the GOP do? Anything? Did they do anything to stop this? It doesn't seem like it. And also, I don't hear a bunch of them making a big noise about it either. I mean, Right to Life did get back to me yesterday, and they said that they have been working their fingers to the bone on this issue, and they say they have campaigns going and door to door and all kinds of stuff. Although people on the ground have told me that they haven't seen any of that. And here's the worst part. The ACLU, which has funded Prop 3 to the tune of $10 million, and the opposition has fought it with $400,000. That's how much they care. My friend Alvin Louis at Courage is a Habit likened it to fighting cancer like a cold. That's how the GOP treats this stuff. And I think it is time to really kick down the doors of the GOP and ask them, what are you doing? Why are you letting our state be taken over by a bunch of crazy radicals who want to cut off the genitals of kids? What is wrong with you? You're like sitting back and just pretending like everything's going to be fine. And you spent, where's the money? If the ACLU is going to come into your state and spend $10 million on this garbage, I would expect the GOP to spend $10 million at least to fight it or more. Where's the money? And why can't they get some together? I don't know.
Could it be because, what am I trying to ask here? It could be because it got kind of snuck in and none of them have really even read it. I mean, how did
that is their job. If that's the truth, that they have not read it and they don't know,
they're failures.
They are then they're totally worse than I even thought. Like, they have to know. They have to know, and they have to be making a choice just not to fight this the way they should. And, maybe they don't want to spend money on this. Maybe they want their money for their campaign. Who knows? All I know is Michigan is in serious trouble, you guys, and there's a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. Not that Republicans are any good or anything, but they're the best we have to fight back some of this stuff, unfortunately. And the best we have are a bunch of losers who don't fight.
Right. Hey, let me real quick. I want to read a couple of these prioritized chats, is what we call them around here. Thank you, Maddie, for dropping a 5 in the tip jar. The main problem about today's voter base, or many of the voters, is they lost the ability to question, read, and study. This has led to many people blindly believing everything they hear, and they don't want facts, and that is scary. Very good point. And then Black Hebrew Israelite. Oh, where is it? Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Who says abortion for rape, incest, less than 2% in the Black community. 62% of pregnancy ends in abortion. They want to make abortion legal up to and after birth. Remind me of who the real Nazis are. The GOP are a bunch of cowards. They are on the same side. Both of you, thank you for sponsoring the show. And
that's right.
There's the bell. I didn't give the bell. Hang on. I forgot to do this, and this is something I do every day. First in the chat today, Lord Stanhope, you get the bell for being here first. Yes, way to go. All right, there we go. And I didn't say hi to everybody. I just have too much to talk about. It's not that I'm neglecting my viewers here. Okay, so poor transition here, but bad choice of words too, no pun intended. But there was also, you also talked about that Reuters article yesterday that
Yes.
I'm going to put a link to it in the chat. I don't need this. The summary basically that I would give of this Reuters article that I can't believe is still up, and I also archived it just to be safe, was that there's a lot of unknowns in the whole transing of kids realm. And have you watched Jon Stewart's what did they put up about that interview?
I saw a couple clips of it, of his smug face that I just want to slap.
I want to go into these arguments that they make, because this article in Reuters seems to have debunked a lot of them. And you mentioned earlier, starting with puberty blockers, because you mentioned earlier today. And by the way, I'll put everything, by the way, if you are watching this show, at the end of the show, I update the description. I put a single link with a 1-tab link to every article and tweet or whatever we do during the show. They go into that link. It's in the second paragraph. You can click that link and everything is going to be listed. Everything.
Oh, and make sure, you guys, that if he links that commercial, that you share the crap out of that on social media. Okay, please.
Yep,
share that commercial.
In fact, I'd say it's actually in Megan's article from PJ Media, which I am linking in the chat. But I think here, let me just
share it everywhere.
Here,
These people have got to see it. I just found out. I just got tagged on Twitter. Teresa Tomeo is having Jen on the show tomorrow about that commercial, and she's on the Catholic Radio Network.
Oh, okay.
So great. That's terrific. Teresa Tomeo has a very big audience, so I'm thrilled that Jen is getting some attention on this. So hopefully we helped get some of that for her, because this is a terrible thing happening to Michigan parents. And the country, by the way, because it will also make Michigan an asylum state for traffickers to take your child from your state over state lines to get this done there. It's going to be the California of the Midwest.
Hold on. Did you say across state lines?
Yes, across state lines.
Didn't John, wasn't there an issue with people going across state lines?
It's only a problem. It's only a problem. It's only a problem if you go across state lines with your legally owned rifle to defend a city against rioting.
But if the rifle's already there.
Oh, right. The rivals.
It's
That's right.
still illegal, right?
Yes, it's still
Okay.
legal.
That's
Yeah.
some for those of you who aren't familiar, I don't know how if you've watched this channel, that would be some Kyle Rittenhouse humor. Just, say no. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right. So this Reuters article seems to have debunked many, many things. And I want to send the Reuters article to Jon Stewart because can we watch that? You want to watch the Jon Stewart thing?
Oh God, do we have to?
Yes, it's
All
only
right, fine.
excerpt, but
It's gonna make
there's
me
so
really
many
mad.
things, and you just stop it with things that you can debunk immediately, which we're going to be stopping this a lot. Okay, all right, let's watch Jon Stewart because this one, I'll probably get in trouble for this, but I don't give a shit. I have a Rumble channel too. I just don't use it that much. But here we go. Here's Jon
Oh, you gotta
Stewart.
start streaming to Rumble.
Well, I'm going to. I just now you made this point several times yesterday, and I'm like, I'm kind of in that same boat. I'm not the greatest tech thingy and stuff. So, and me learning new things, it took me a long time to.
Well, I'm happy to show you how to stream on Rumble because it's really not hard, and StreamYard makes it pretty easy.
Okay.
I can show you
I
after
know
the
you got to
show.
use the RMTP and all that other shit. And
Yeah,
I
it's
know how
not
to
that
do
hard.
that, but multi-streaming, I heard you couldn't like multi-stream on a Rumble and other things, but then I guess you can.
No,
And
you can, and
okay.
StreamYard allows you to do 3. I don't know what package you pay for, but I think mine's at 3 live streams at a time, so I can do 3 destinations at a time.
Oh, I don't even know. I know I pay for it because like
If
some
you
of the
pay for
software
it, then
use.
you're probably at least 3.
Okay, cool. That's all I
So
need because
if
I
you're
don't Rumble,
if you're doing,
Odyssey, YouTube.
and I can show you how to do Rumble. It's very simple.
Yeah,
And you should be at least live streaming there. Here's what I found about live streaming on Rumble. My audience is already bigger than on YouTube. Now my subscriber count is a lot lower on
yeah.
Rumble than it is on YouTube, but my live stream numbers are way higher on
Okay.
Rumble. So it's really already paying off. Both live streams that I've done, I've only done 2 live streams so far on Rumble. I have been more profitable than my YouTube live streams have been in quite some time. Not since Johnny Depp have I made this good of a profit on, because people are sending Rumble rants, which is like super chats,
Oh, okay.
and it's great. It's great, and I think that we all need to start utilizing those platforms and trying to push our audiences from YouTube over to Rumble, because look, let's face it, this is a hostile working environment. We're always walking on eggshells about what can we say and what can we not say, right. Like, or you're gonna don't get me struck, like,
Right.
don't say anything about that, that thing we're not allowed to talk about, that people aren't allowed to talk about, that happened in 2020. The thing that happened in 2020, you're not allowed to say on YouTube. If you have any concerns or questions about what might have happened in November of 2020, not allowed to talk about that, because you'll get a misinformation flag or strike or whatever. It's absurd. So Rumble is just not like that. So what I have been doing is I will stream to YouTube and Rumble at the same time, and then about a half hour into my live stream on YouTube, I kill it. I kill the stream and I go straight over to Unchained on Rumble, where I can say whatever I want, and I'm just trying to push people from YouTube and just bring them over to Rumble. And you know what? They've been coming. Freaky Chick, thank you. She totally unbreaded on Rumble.
Completely.
Completely
Yeah,
unbreaded.
I gotta confess, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I've been suspended on YouTube twice. One, I got suspended for nudity and sexual content, and yeah, and I was like, now here, let me caveat: there was no nudity or sexual content on my stream, but I think I figured out later that it was because those stupid chat bots you get. One of them had a really weird kind of sexual name related to, underage kind of things, and it said something in the chat, and I'm thinking, I had my chat scrolling on the screen. That's the only thing. I went through that thing 20 times to see if I could figure out what it was, and that's the only thing I can figure out. YouTube, you know how YouTube doesn't tell you
That's
shit
so
when that happens.
unfair, because the
And
porn bots
well,
spam you. You shouldn't get your channel taken down.
well, it was a username that they allowed. I'm like,
right.
I can't do anything about that. And they wouldn't, and the appeals process is basically you're going to some, farm in Bangladesh that doesn't really speak English the way we do, and so they just kept, they give you the canned answer. But anyway, let's watch. I want to watch this Jon Stewart thing because I'm running out of time and I want to make sure we get this in. I just thought of this morning, so I didn't warn you. But you know what?
That's okay.
This is going good. All
I
right,
don't
here
think
we
I've
go.
seen the whole thing anyway, so
Let's
be
watch
interesting.
this. This is just the
Oh, that
preview.
face! Look at that face! I just want to punch him. What a punchable face! Ugh.
And I want to talk about when we're going to go through inaccuracies because you read the Reuters article. I read the Reuters article
several times,
and it's amazing how many things they debunk in that article. I just want to start. Everyone who says who uses the phrase, "Well, puberty blockers are reversible." Really? Let's read the Reuters article
so
and
bullshit.
let's show them the what's her face, the president. What's his face? That person who's the president of WPATH. World Professional Association of whatever, saying that people who've gone through puberty blockers at stage 2 Tanner stage will never have an orgasm. That one.
That's right.
Oh, that's not reversible.
Not reversible.
Jazz's micro unit was not reversible. And anyway, all right, let's go. Oh, by the way, did you realize that? What's her name? What's that doctor's name? That president read she was Marcy
something. She was the one, or he was the one who did Jazz Jennings' botched surgery twice.
Right. That's the same person.
Marcy Bowers.
Matt Walsh interviewed. Marcy Bowers.
Same one.
Yeah, same one. Matt Walsh interviewed. I know that face. And I was like, oh, that's that person. Anyway, all right, let's listen to Jon Stewart do his usual smug interview with someone he disagrees with and really doesn't know the facts himself.
Why would the state of Arkansas step in, override parents?
You hear that okay?
Physicians,
okay,
psychiatrists, endocrinologists who have developed guidelines? Why would you override those guidelines?
I'm going to stop right there. The people who are developing those guidelines, what's something common about all those people?
The people who write the guidelines?
Yes, I'll just say
they're all trans.
They're all trans, and what else are they? Starts with an A. Activists. They're all activists who write the guidelines. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Anyway.
Well, I think it's important that all of those physicians, all of those experts, for every single one of them, there's an expert that says we don't need to allow children to be able to take those medications. That there are many instances where...
But that's not true.
That's not true? There's not doctors that don't believe in this shit?
I know it's so ridiculous, but you know what? We really do need more doctors who will speak out about it. But let's start with the one from the Dutch protocol that was in Reuters, interviewed in Reuters, who said that we're doing all of this way too soon, way too quickly, with way too little research. Let's start with her because she's somebody who's been doing this for a very long time and was involved in the Dutch protocol when this all first began. And if someone who was at the forefront of all of this research and all of this experimentation is saying, whoa, 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 slow it down, well, then we should be talking. How come she's not being interviewed? They like to put up a politician because they can make a politician look stupid because a politician this person is not an expert in anything. This is somebody who runs campaign. And frankly, I think she should not have done this interview. I think it was a stupid thing to do because Jon Stewart is always going to, he's a clown and he's always going to make you look dumb.
And they're going to edit it to make you look as dumb as possible. It's terrible. All right, let's keep going here.
It's not for everyone. There's one. These are the established.
Well, I don't know that's not true. I don't know that.
Then why would you pass a law then if you don't know that that's true? Wouldn't you?
Well, I know that there are doctors and that we had plenty of people come and testify before our legislature.
Oh, they had people testify, Judge. Moron.
We have 98% of the young people who have gender dysphoria that they are able to move past that. And once they have the help that they need, no longer suffer from gender dysphoria. 98% without that medical treatment.
That's an incredibly made up figure.
It's not.
It's not wrong. It's not correct, but it's not made up. I think it's more like 80 something.
It's 80%. So she's wrong about the figure, but it is about 80%. 80 to 80. I think it's like 80 to 88% of kids with gender dysphoria outgrow it and desist after puberty. But if you stop their puberty and you put them on puberty blockers, almost 100% go on to take cross-sex hormones. So you are literally you are harming 80% of kids who would have just desisted naturally by putting them on puberty blockers. That's the truth. That's what she should have said. And you know, I don't know if she did. Maybe they edited it out. I mean, who knows? But they're going to make Jon Stewart look like he knows what he's talking about, and he does not know what he is talking about.
It definitely does not. All right, here we go.
That doesn't comport with any of the studies or documentation that exists from these.
Hold on.
I know. I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this.
Stop. It absolutely does. It's absolutely full of shit. And go to the Reuters article. It is the best article that has been ever written on this subject. I fear for the journalists' lives who wrote this.
I do too. Kaplan's going to go after them.
I'm not being facetious. I'm not being funny. I literally fear for their safety. I cannot believe it was written. But if you go to that article and you read through it, you will find that what he is saying is an absolute lie. The only studies we have that have been done show massive harm, which is why Sweden and Finland and in the UK are scaling way back and have restricted access to this transgender care for minors. And that is the facts. Those are the facts.
And not only are there, the studies don't say, there aren't studies here in
there are
the United
no
States.
studies.
The Marcy Bowers herself says there's not enough data, in theory, to even start studying.
All they have are surveys, and surveys are not studies. Surveys are not studies. They are unscientific. They are not to be. All the so-called suicide studies are surveys, which are unscientific. And even on their own survey, it says this should not be used to extrapolate any information on trans suicide data. Okay, so then why are we using them in the press like there's some kind of settled science? What we did find out in the Reuters article, though, which is absolutely incredible and mind-blowing, and I never heard it before this article, is that in 2016, the FDA had to add a warning to puberty blockers, warning people and medical professionals that it increases the risk in children of suicidal ideation and, in fact, suicide attempts. So what we do know is that puberty blockers cause suicidal ideation.
Well, yeah, and even in trans people in general, there's no difference in the suicide ideation between someone pre and post any kind of treatment for trans. It's still around 40% of people who go through this have suicidal ideation. And like you said, if 100% of these people going on puberty blockers are having that issue, then you're increasing the amount of suicide by making them trans, because they would have desisted had you just let them go through a normal
and especially puberty. Considering that we also have Project Veritas's new video with WPATH leaked Zoom calls.
Oh my God.
Admitting that they know they're missing kids. The kids are falling through the cracks who shouldn't be getting this treatment, and they're missing it because of this push to affirm everyone. And they know that these kids are going to be unhappy later on, but fuck them. Because, just fuck those kids.
There's a lot of money to be made, Megan. What are you talking about?
We don't have time to, do our due diligence and actually put them through psychological evaluations that last longer than 15 minutes. We want the money. So we are just going to keep on doing it. And we know we're missing out on kids who are going to be miserable, but oh well. I mean, literally have them on tape. So these people belong in jail, my friend. Jail.
By the way, I just noticed in the chat, Bubba, who's asking, are you guys covering the Baldo issue? Bubba? No. We're not going to be covering
I don't even know what that means.
The Baldo issue.
What's the Baldo issue? Should I even have asked that? I'm
That's
sorry, I
some
did.
sex toy that Rekieta keeps talking about.
Oh, I
Anyway,
know. He keeps bringing
I
up.
don't know what
I
it is,
still don't know
so
what it is. And guess what? I'm not going to find out.
I don't want to know what it is.
I don't want to know
Although
either.
I think Drex might have tested it out or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back to John Stewart.
Association are you talking about of these doctors?
Well, we have all of
Oh
them
my
in
God.
our,
Doesn't matter what association. People testified in front of our Senate committee and our House committee in the state of Arkansas. Shut the fuck up, John.
legislative history, and we'll be glad to provide that to you. I don't.
She didn't bring it with her.
Off the top of my head, I know it's something that
you don't have.
What? It's funny because did he name the organization that makes these recommendations? Did he say what it was? These. Of course, he's gonna name a few. We'll get there.
Organization that
off
you're
the
getting
top
that
of my head.
Oh, okay.
But yes, we have all of that cited and all of the briefs.
You're suggesting that protecting children means overriding the recommendations of the American Medical Association, the American Association of Pediatrics.
Yeah, they're all cucked.
We don't have enough data. We don't have enough to show that
they all take the recommendations from the World Professional Association of Trans Health, WPATH, which is the association of activists who do this for a living.
You know what the truth is, though? If they actually did take the recommendations from WPATH, they wouldn't be transing kids at the rate they're transing them. They're actually not even following WPATH's own guidelines, because their guidelines say that you need to have at least, I think it's 6 months worth of psychological therapy and, monitoring to make sure that it's a persistent problem, the gender and that it's not an underlying health or mental disorder. But I don't think 6 months is enough. I mean, I would suggest a lot longer than that. I think the guidelines should be that any minor with gender dysphoria gets nothing but therapy until they're 18 and can make, or 21. I mean, if in New York you can't buy a gun unless you're 21, so why not 21 for cutting off your genitals? But I mean, it should be a year minimum of counseling. But but Chris, you're right, a year minimum for adults. But for children, you should have to get counseling until you're an adult, and then you can make your decision.
Oh God, I'm glad you finished that sentence, because I'm like, for children,
not for kids.
No, because they have no, their brains don't work. They don't know shit. You tell an 11-year-old that if I put you on puberty blockers, you're never going to have an orgasm. What the fuck's an 11-year-old know about that? What does an 11-year-old know about what they want for lunch tomorrow? It's just, it's ridiculous. All right, I'm gonna try to get through this without my head exploding. And this is only part of the interview. This is 6 minutes of the interview.
These drugs are effective and that these children are better off, and that we should encourage these.
Or it's not enough for you. Let me try and flip it a different way.
Oh my God, no! How about the entire legislatures that listen to doctors talk to them? That's who it's for, not just the Attorney General. The Attorney General is not a legislator.
Well, I don't know why also we have to treat the American Academy of Pediatrics like they're some kind of god on a mountain somewhere that we all have to bow down to. Like, fuck them. If I don't agree with them, if I don't agree with them, I don't agree with them. I don't have to. If we've learned anything since 2020, it's that the experts, the medical experts, are really fucking stupid. Okay. If we've learned anything, they don't know what they're talking about. So I feel no obligation to be like, oh, the American Academy of Pediatrics said something. So, yeah, St. Fauci. Thank you, Bob Littlejohn. I mean, what are they, what is he talking about? Sorry, continue.
Yep. Here. Whoops.
If maybe this can help. In Arkansas, if you have pediatric cancer, and obviously we all want to protect children.
You can diagnose cancer.
What guidelines do you follow?
Cancer's been researched for
You can't
100
diagnose
years.
transgenderism. It's a literal mental feeling.
Decision, then I would be speaking
Exactly.
to my doctor, and if my doctor doctor recommended something that I disagreed with.
Oh, this has got to be edited, that he put this part here. Oh, well, I would talk to my doctor. Well, what about trans kids? They talk to their doctors. Their doctors are fucking activists. Anyway.
That's what I believe, that these parents need to make sure that they're encouraged to get numerous opinions when they're talking about.
Because they're not being done. And you just said that.
They're not being diagnosed.
The state's
There
not
isn't. It's
saying
self-diagnosis.
what they're saying is you can't. What you're actually saying
No,
is
that's
the opposite.
actually not at all what the state said. The state simply said that you cannot perform these procedures. And so parents should get another opinion, and children should want to have another opinion.
But that's not.
Because again, these are 9, 10, 11,
So if your
12-year-olds.
child is suffering from pediatric cancer, and the state,
there's a name for this.
They recommend chemotherapy.
There's no correlation between these two.
You can't.
False equivalence. Hey, guess what? You know what they haven't done with some of these trans kids? They haven't diagnosed anything. That's a difference. There's a diagnosis for cancer, for just
like you can take a blood test and see cancer. You cannot take a blood test and see gender dysphoria. And all of these kids, the ones who are, caught up in the social contagion, have been taught what to by the other trans activists in order to get that gender dysphoria diagnosis, which is nothing more than a self-diagnosis signed off on by a psychologist. And if you know anything about psychology, it's full of nonsense. It's not an exact science at all. In fact, the fact that it's under science at all is kind of disturbing, because when you're talking about mental disorders and psychiatry and psychology, there's a lot of gray area in there. There's a lot we don't know. There's some of the medications help some of the people who have these certain things like schizophrenia or whatever, but there are other mental disorders that the medicine doesn't work for at all. And they're constantly misdiagnosing people who they say have, borderline personality disorder, but truly they have PTSD. So it's not an exact thing. And this one is even worse, because you're counting on the patient to just self-diagnose, and you are required to believe them and not do any digging. Yeah, not do any digging into it. Like, to find out. Sinead Watson, by the way, is an incredible detransitioner with a great story. Her story is unbelievable. She had trauma. She had sexual abuse in her past, 2 rapes, I believe. And not one doctor asked her why she was having these feelings of gender dysphoria. And not one got into, okay, let's talk about your past. Let's talk about your history. Let's talk about your trauma. Have you had trauma? No one even asked.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's all self-diagnosis. It's all, that's why they call it affirming care, or whatever they call it. It's not diagnose the care, it's affirm. If they say they are, you immediately are told to affirm. And that's the activist motto. You need to affirm them. Well, wait a minute, I'm not affirm what? There's no measure. All right, let's go here. Let's see.
Get a different opinion, and here's the organization we think you should get the opinion from. They're not the mainstream, but they're an organization. So
is WPATH mainstream? I guess.
Oh God, mainstream. As if you can't trust it if it's not mainstream. I feel the opposite. If it's mainstream, I don't trust it.
Yeah, you get a second and third opinion.
Yeah. Anything that's mainstream, I question big time.
Right. And especially for a surgery. I mean, especially for I know they don't think it's a elective surgery, but it is absolutely an elective surgery. Anyway.
It's a very extreme example that's not at all in line with what we're talking about. We're not saying that at some point, because when you have cancer, it literally is, and particularly pediatric cancer, and having friends that have lost children to pediatric cancer, having a 4-year-old, I'm sure.
Here he goes.
News for you.
Here he goes.
Parents with children who have gender dysphoria have lost children to suicide and depression.
Oh, here we go.
Guilt trip. Guilt trip is something that Jon Stewart doesn't realize, that there's no difference in the ideation rates between pre and post trans people.
Parents have lost kids to transgenderism, the transgenderism cult too. That woman, I don't remember her name now, which is terrible, but her story made it into the news. Her daughter was secretly transed at school, and kept away from her, and eventually put into foster care because her mother didn't agree to affirm. And this poor child had serious mental disorders that were never treated. And she put her, she got her transition, and then she walked in front of a train. And it was because her mother was not allowed to help her get the mental help that she needed. So when he gets all, look at how full of himself he is right now, so self-righteous, who's lost children? Parents have lost transgender children. Yeah, well, parents have lost non-transgender children to this cult too, John. And I just want to slap him.
Real quick. Yes. Damien. Okay. Well, yes, Damien. The answer is yes. The University of Minnesota made their. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm playing.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Oh my God, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, we're going to
I
go back
live
to
in Minnesota.
shamanism now. Actually,
I
to
live
tell
in
you the truth, though, I was kind of happy to see that because the way modern medicine is going, I actually trust Native American methods more. In fact, I would go to a Native American shaman before I would go to some of these hospitals. So I'm actually kind of okay with that. I actually go to there's an herb farm not far from me where I go and get like tinctures and things. I call it the witchy store, but they studied with the Seneca Indians here, and that's how they learned how to make these medicines and herbal healing things and stuff. And I swear it works, and it keeps me out of the doctor's office. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
It's just when they break out the goblet of goat's blood is when I start to worry. So anyway, here we go.
Well, so far I have not found that at the witchy store. So
I'm sorry about that.
And so these mainstream medical organizations have developed guidelines through
that are not being followed
and studies.
No studies. No studies. Lie. There are no studies.
Mental health outcomes.
No.
So I'm
false.
confused why you follow AMA guidelines and AAAP guidelines for all other health issues than Arkansas, because we checked, but not for this.
It's simply saying,
because there's no,
let those young people who are facing gender
Why
confusion
doesn't she
and
stop
dysphoria,
for a second?
allow them to become.
She's not doing this right. Why doesn't she say, we disagree with the AAP on this issue? It is a highly controversial issue, and we have a right to disagree. And many Americans, 70% of Americans in the latest New York Times poll also disagree with, and that includes Democrats. 70% of the voting public of the United States disagrees that gender theology should be taught in schools. What she's doing this all wrong. She needs to throw it right back in his face and say, listen, I don't have to agree with the AAP when they say things that are dangerous and wrong and harming children. You can sit here and try and trap me, but I'm telling you right now, what you are advocating for is going to be the new, when we look back at this in 50 years, you will be remembered as the person who defended the new lobotomy for children. And it's not going to look good for you, John. You're going to be the one that everyone's going to look back and go, remember that idiot? Remember when he was fighting to chemically castrate children? Because this is the new lobotomy. She's not doing this right. I can't stand Republicans. They don't know how to fight.
Well, she clearly came in here ill prepared to fight, and that's her.
You're always ill prepared to fight. How do you sit down with Jon Stewart and you don't know you're going to have a fight?
That he's going to be, he's going to twist things based on what the orthodoxy anyway.
Adults, and to make that decision, allow a child to be a child.
So here's where we have our crossroads. You've made the
Our
determination
crossroads.
that protecting these children means not giving them access to the guidelines and care that have been designed by medical and mental health professionals for children expressing.
Designed by activists.
Activists. Exactly.
What are your...
That's what I would say to him. I would say, no, those things have been designed by activists.
And his question here, listen to this question.
Step in and say, no.
He said, what are your qualifications to step in and say no? What do you mean my qualification? She's the attorney general. She didn't write the law. She didn't go to, if she may have gone to the hearings at the state legislature, but she's not the one saying no. An entire state legislature listened to testimony from doctors.
And that means the people are saying no. The
Exactly.
representatives are the people's representatives. And if the people say no to the AAP, well, the AAP can get fucked, because that's how we do it here in the representative republic that is America. And if Americans don't want this stuff, we don't do it. Period.
Exactly. All right, let's finish this up.
From that care is protecting you. You've made that determination.
No, the state
These are
legislature did.
universal decisions that these children at these young ages are making, or that their
They're
parents
not
are
making the
making.
decision. You're making it sound like a
Stop.
9-year-old.
Stop. Whoa. They're not making the decision, John? They're not? So who's making it for them? And is that legal or ethical that someone else is making the decision to castrate them for life, take away their ability to be parents, take away their ability, their sexual function? They are not making the decision? Holy shit, what did he just admit to?
It's crazy, isn't it?
This is insane. I'm sorry. Okay, continue.
No, that's why you're here. I need help sometimes.
Well, am I wrong? Like, what?
No,
wait
you're
a minute.
100% right.
I thought it was the kid. I thought the kids needed it. I thought the kids wanted it.
And-
Now all of a sudden they're not making the decision?
But if they're not making the decision, then how did we even get here? How did we get here? Because supposedly
Munchausen
these
syndrome by
children,
proxy.
supposedly these children can make informed decisions about permanent medical procedures that they'll have to live with for the rest of their life, and possibly go on drugs the rest of their life. They don't have a concept of how long they're supposed to live, even. So
Exactly.
God,
but no, they're not making decisions. Now it's the decision is being made by the doctors, apparently. Oh my God. I can't keep up with this. It doesn't make any sense.
Chris Rowland, Transhausen by proxy.
Exactly.
Walks into a doctor's office and says, "Give me some testosterone." And the doctor goes, "Oh, thank God, because we're wanting to create an army of transgenders."
It's kind of how it was working, isn't it?
And they go right in.
We passed a law to protect the children in Arkansas, and I think that's what is important.
Again, the medical community disagrees with you. That
Well,
that's
not all
protecting
of the medical community.
Who doesn't?
We have had experts testify here in Arkansas.
Okay, from what medical organization?
See, but this is their only argument, though, because do you understand? They own all the organizations. They own all the institutions by design. The left took over every institution in America, and that's the argument they use to push their shit on us, which is every single organization agrees with me. Well, that's because you literally put your people there. You played the long game, and you inserted social justice warriors and activists and all these people who were going to usher in your new utopia of all this far left wokeism. You did that over many, many years. So now you own the FBI, you own the AAP, you own the American Medical Association. It's not that these associations just all of a sudden agree. It's because people have been placed on their boards to make that happen. And anyone who can't see that, you're just blind.
Definitely. All right, let's here. It's only a few more seconds
done.
here. Yeah. Can you imagine how long it would take to get through the actual interview?
No, it would have to be like a 3-hour stream.
Well, we have all of those in our briefs, and I apologize that I wasn't prepared to have a Supreme Court argument today in front of
That
you.
was funny.
We are going to have arguments on
he's
this
so
case,
frustrated.
when the time comes.
All right, so that's the end of the clip that they put on godforsaken YouTube. Yeah, so the activist here's the other part. All of the organizations, the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, all these other pediatric care associations, whatever, they are afraid of the activists. They have to be, because right now, who has the biggest shields of kryptonite in the country? You saw what Keffels did with her 37,000 followers to an entire website to
Right.
they have
The
their
trans
shield
activists can
right
do
now.
whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. They get everything they want, and everyone's afraid of them. But
There's
that's gonna turn around. It's
it's
not gonna be
well,
like that
the
forever.
backlash is going to happen when we see the mental health crisis in a lot of these people. We're seeing the detransitioners who started on Tumblr on 2012, who
Mhm.
got all their information from Tumblr and TikTok and Instagram or whatever, and we're starting to see a lot of them coming out and going, "Wait a minute, what did I do to myself? This is I've ruined my own life." No, you didn't ruin your life. You had parents and doctors who didn't watch out for you, and
Yep.
that's where we're at right now. And so that mental health crisis is coming, and like you just said earlier, in 50 years we're going to look back on this, and this is the new phrenology, this is the new lobotomy, this is the
Mhm.
new whatever, the when
Tuskegee experiment.
well, yeah, to
This
Tuskegee
is gonna be
experiment,
a
this is when they're using
scandal.
heroin to treat things.
Uh-huh.
These cigarettes are better because doctors say
Uh-huh.
they're toasted.
Big tobacco.
They're
Absolutely.
toasted.
The big tobacco, comparison is really spot on, because we have ads that we can still find, from back then that say, "Doctors prefer Marlboro," 4 out
I
of
just
5
saw one.
doctors prefer Marlboros.
Lucky
And you know what?
Strikes.
And Lucky Strikes, and those doctors were paid to say that, and these doctors are getting paid too. They're getting 100 grand per patient that they can funnel through this meat grinder that they call trans affirming healthcare. This is big business. It is big money, and not just the doctors. Big pharma is making it too. They have increased the prices of puberty blockers from $4,600 to $10,000
Big
for
business.
pediatric puberty blockers, when the adult version of it is still $4,600. That should tell you something. Big Pharma knows there is big money to be made on transing little kids, and they don't care how many kids are going to kill themselves, how many kids are going to have lifetime pain, chronic pain, micropenis, stunted growth, osteoporosis, bone density loss, spinal fractures, brain swelling, blindness. I could go on all day.
Excuse me, Megan. Those are all reversible. All right. Hey, I gotta close this down. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Megan. Thank you so much for coming today.
Welcome.
You didn't know me from Adam, and you said, hey, you're like, you're one of the first people because I asked a lot of people to come on the show and they don't know me, and they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna figure it out. And the first thing you sent back to me was, sure, I'll do it. And
Sure.
you had no idea what you're getting into, but hey,
No.
this has been great fun. I hope to do it again sometime because I know this is one of your big subjects right now, and it's one of my big subjects right now. So
Yeah,
this one in
anytime. I'd be
particular.
happy to
Um,
come on again.
oh, you got to get Gabs Clark on your show. You know who that is? You showed videos of a couple of the demonstrations, the one in Anaheim, and then I can't remember the other one. The two they had the purple signs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Do no
I've had a
harm.
couple of those people on. So anyway, there's those are great people. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I gotta go. If you want to hang out through the outro, I would say something to you at the
Sure.
off camera. My outro takes a long time, so just don't leave before I
All
get
right,
done.
I won't.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I really want to thank our guest, Megan Fox, who is awesome. I hope you all, if you're here, you're new here, my normal thing here, the Morning Night Live broadcast Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central on YouTube here. Before I go, though, I just realized there were a couple more. I might have a couple more super chats here. I should probably do those too real quick as soon as I refresh.
Yeah, you
the
missed one with
screen.
a screen name I was looking forward to hearing you say.
Oh, it must be Rachel Maddow's dildo. Yes, that's
That was it. That was it.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Rachel Maddow's dildo, for dropping a deuce in the tip jar. Says 16 Russia hacked the election for Donald Trump. 16. 2020 was the most secure election in history, with mail-in and drop boxes, 3 key swing states that suddenly stopped counting while Trump was ahead, then kick out the observers when they returned. Biden was up. Well, look, Rachel, excuse me, Rachel Maddow's dildo. 2020 was absolutely the most secure election in history. Not only does the FBI say that, but so does the majority in Congress. So I am not going to dispute any election results on YouTube ever again. Maybe someday when I do some more research and trans my channel over to Rumble.
Your channel.
Pun intended. Maybe we'll discuss that further, but here we're just going to let that go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. If you do me a favor, hit the like button before you go. Also, share the stream before, during, and after, because I know some of you didn't even think about it until I just said that, right? So share the stream. Put a comment in the comment section if you're watching on replay, and you can sponsor the show at pdognight.live. YouTube Super Chats, Venmo, Cash App, all that shit's in the description, whatever. Anyway, thank you so much, Megan. Thank you, chat. It's been great. You all have a wonderful day. My name is P Dog Night, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Night, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P Dog Night, and I'm out of here.